guys had a good weekend, and as we went through a little bit earlier, we thought it was going to be a one-game slate, but then we were waiting for news, and we never got confirmation that Kyrie was playing. You know, when we were talking about all this stuff, we were like, I couldn't imagine him sitting again. I mean, he was had personal thing,
It
and then
wasn't even questionable.
what's that? Yeah, and then he had to went to through warm-ups, and then they got back, and he's out. So yeah, not to mention that Giannis remains questionable, at least on my board. So it's become kind of a chalk. I mean, it was chalky already, but it's become the ownership is now yes, still with the Pacers and Detroit, but now you have this Jaden Hardy, who's probably going to be 100% owned. So how do you get different? How do you deal with this?
Well, I think that first of all, I think that Dallas is better than the other stuff by a significant amount. And really, by saying that, I mean Josh Green and Jaden Hardy are better plays than everybody from Detroit, in my opinion. Okay. If Christian Wood is out. If Christian Wood is in, Christian Wood is an automatic for me. I don't even want to think about it. I think we're playing Christian Wood, whether he starts or not. This is a fast-paced game, and I don't see why. I mean, Dallas at home is going to try to win the game, obviously. There are three guys on their team who can initiate offense. Actually, four, because Hardaway. But I would be with Christian Wood. So I have it Hardy, Green, Wood, and I don't care whether Hardy starts either. I'm a little concerned if he doesn't start because it might be there's a chance that it could mean something about his minutes, but he's so active offensively. I just think there's no way. I think he's going to go nuts. So I think Hardy's the must. Josh Green is close, and then Christian Wood is the next one for me. Then you go to Detroit. The only play that I think that I really feel very, very strongly about is Killian Hayes. I do like Wiseman. I do like Omori a little bit. Hampton, if you're playing maybe a blood angle or something, and Hampton has the ability to get there, so I certainly don't mind mixing him in. It's just not a priority. The priorities are Hayes really actually at this point. Magruder is not like he's a play you save for the stacks, in my opinion. You hope the game stays close and he plays 38 minutes and he just can't help but get there. Then you go to Indy, and I think the projection on Chris Duarte without being confirmed that he's starting is completely it seems a little extreme. So I do like Duarte, but I have him behind Jackson and Nembhard. So what does that mean? So Jackson, Nembhard, for me, Jackson, Nembhard, Killian Hayes, and Hardy, Green, and Wood are all basically like, I'm going to play all those guys. It's just maybe I'll have some lineups where I won't have all of those guys in one of them, but mostly those guys are going to be in most of my lineups. Sure, instead of some Jackson, I'll play a little bit of Jalen Smith instead here and there. I just think that there's a little bit of an over projection with how many guys are available. And the weirdest thing is, like, the sites seem to be hedging a little bit on that Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's projection should be in the 40s if this game, like as a median, if he's playing. But he's still questionable, so we won't really be able to do much until we have Indiana's starting lineup. With it, that being said, because if Buddy Hield's out, then we do want to play the Duarte for sure, I think. If Buddy Hield's in, I think you mix him in as a medium spend up and you make a little stack out of that game. But you also want to get some exposure to this Dallas-Memphis game. So it's really Dallas, Memphis, Detroit, Indiana. And then what are you going to do with the other pieces? Everything I posted earlier today is basically irrelevant because that Kyrie news is that significant. And also Kyrie was in basically all my lineups before that. Maybe what you do is you play Giannis and Fox or Giannis and Sabonis with these guys. The problem is if Giannis is out, you have no pivot, which I think because the price, people are going to try and get Giannis in. So you're not maybe getting creative enough with that, which leads me back over to, okay, what can we do with Phoenix and Golden State? Maybe just a simple Paul or Booker or Ayton with Steph on the other side, seems like a pretty viable route to go to me. That's not going to be crazy owned. Especially, I don't think anybody on Phoenix is getting much ownership tonight, which might be a mistake. So that's my favorite thing to do. My other favorite little, just like if I had to spend up other places, unfortunately, not going to be way off the board with this, but I think True is a very valuable spend up. I think Anthony Davis is a very valuable spend up. Something to keep in mind is Anthony Davis is a Georgia kid. He's from just outside of Atlanta. When these guys go home, that is actually something. I know they're trying to win games and all that, but when you're a guy like Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards. I keep saying Anthony Davis. Anthony Edwards, who's really like more of a football player. I mean, he was the best football player in high school, in the country when he was a junior. He's got a football player's mentality, and I just feel like that makes a little bit of a difference. So those are my other ways of going. What are you looking at as we're going this slate? Because that's pretty much the simple way that I'm treating it.
Well, first of all, I think everybody realized that you didn't mean Anthony Davis. You meant Anthony Edwards.
Yeah,
you meant I actually just went and looked at the Lakers even play. I literally was just.
I kept saying it. I corrected myself, but I did it too late.
Yeah.
Healed in. Okay, that's good to know.
That what?
Healed is in apparently, which is good to know.
Healed is in. Okay, that was the thing I was going to. That's actually one of the things I was going to mention. What I was going to mention is that we don't have to stress too much about waiting on starting lineups because we're gonna get them. You know what I mean? Like, we'll get that.
But some teams don't release until like 4 or 5 minutes beforehand. So you do have to stress a little bit when you're talking about having all the value. Like, whether Duarte starts or not is a pretty big piece of information. His projection will drop. Like, he'll become like Neesmith as a play or worse if he's not starting in terms of projection.
Well, so we could prepare for that somewhat. So if in fact, so you're saying that if he's not starting, then you would isn't one of those where, oh cool, the ownership's lower, I'm going to play him, or oh my god, I'm just not going to play him.
Which Duarte?
Yeah.
No, I'll play some Duarte. He's not as much of a priority as the other guys are for me. I want to see what's happening with the starting lineup. I really won't make any decisions until I see that. If Duarte is not in the starting lineup, I actually at low ownership would like him.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'll play him at high ownership if he's starting. Like, the problem is, like, Noor is going to get minutes. George Hill is going to get minutes. Jalen Smith is going to get minutes. O'Shea Brissett's going to get minutes. James Johnson's going to get minutes. This is not like a team that doesn't have other guys. Now, look, James Johnson, you can say whatever. Oh, he played 21 minutes in the last game against the same team. I don't see why he wouldn't play again, I don't see why Noor wouldn't play 20 minutes. I don't see why Brissett. So if all these starting guys are really just playing like an even-ish 30 minutes outside of maybe Heald with some upside and Nembhard with some upside on that minutes, it's a little bit less like of a must situation as maybe it's being treated like. I don't agree with Duarte being this high projected. That's my main thing. It doesn't mean I won't play him. It just means that he's being over projected in my mind.
I got Roto Grinders giving Christian Wood a crisp 22 fantasy points in 16 minutes. I mean, what is that?
Have they updated? Do they have Jaden Hardy as a good play?
Yeah.
Oh,
wait, do they? That's a good question. No, they didn't even update. Oh yeah, they have Jaden Hardy with a million fantasy points. Just no Christian Boyd is just apparently out of the rotation somehow.
I mean, they've kind of treated him like he's out of the rotation, but you'd think with those other two guys out that this would be the time to play Christian Wood, wouldn't you?
They got Dwight Powell with 20. Oh, they got Maxi Kleber getting 26 minutes.
Who's going to try and – okay, we'll see.
I'm just telling you what's throwing everything off. Like everybody else.
No, I got you. I love – all of this is making me love Wood as a tournament play. Like, maybe we can just be more simple and just play the great tournament play from the game we like. Who's the probably the best offensive player on the team, who's no one's going to own. I'll take it. I'll take that ownership. Joseph or Hardy's the answer over everybody. I don't care the results because Hardy's the guy who if you don't play, Corey Joseph is not really like. Yeah, there's a little cool. He played for Indiana for a long time narrative. He's playing some minutes. He's 5,100. I don't see how we're like if you're playing Corey Joseph over Jaden Hardy, you're probably a losing player. You probably shouldn't. And I don't even know where their prices are similar.
Well, let me ask you a question. They played yesterday, Dallas, right?
By the way, that was not the same situation in the last game with Wood. Didn't Kyrie play the last game?
No.
Oh, he didn't play either the last game. I missed that one. Then I guess that's possible.
That's why Jaden Hardy played 37 minutes and scored 100 fantasy points.
Right. which he does every time, which I missed, and it was against Memphis. Okay, maybe that's fair then. Maybe I'm under. I still like him as a tournament play. I actually don't care that much. I'm still going to do it. Some. It's not going to be as much, but I somehow missed that. That game must have been on Saturday, right? Yeah, that game was on Saturday. That's why.
That's when they played, was Saturday?
Yeah. Tim Hardaway is obviously fine, but as I always mention with Tim Hardaway, the ownership is probably going to be higher than you want. Tim Hardaway put up 38 in a game, and we could say I don't know what you mean he sucked in the first half. Tim Hardaway, he shot 8 for 15, 4 for 8 from 3, and had 38 fantasy points. I don't know what part of that is sucking. Like, he made all of his if Tim Hardaway shoots over 50%, that's a pretty much like not a miracle, but it's like it's as much as you could ever ask for from Tim Hardaway Jr. He's not efficient yet. He's been incredibly efficient lately. Anyway.
So go back to the fact that Hield is in. You had mentioned that if Hield is in, that he might be a good play.
I think Hield is a good play. If you're stacking that game, I think Hield makes that game like a good stack, I definitely think he has a ceiling. And, I think playing him along with Nembhard and Jackson, or, run it back with Killian Hayes and Wiseman or Marie, you've got a nice natural game stack. And then you at least play Jaden Hardy, possibly one other Dallas guy, and then you can play Giannis if you want to, but it's kind of an easy build.
Yeah, I just pushed another update. It wasn't worth anything really.
And I want to just correct David Pingalore. That's completely wrong. I just want to throw that out there. When they say a player is available, it absolutely has nothing to do. When they say a player is available, if the player is still starting, it has nothing to do with they're going to be limited. That's their general NBA announcement, is that the player is available or not. So it doesn't mean anything when they say the player is available. It just means the guy's playing. So don't read too much into that one. It's too cute. Went to check her. Hield might be limited tonight, but the only reason he'd be limited is if somehow this game gets ugly, I think, or they get really hot without him on the court. I'm trying to read Kobe's question because he's got some good ones. I want to go. Kessler got 26 minutes last game for the Kings. What's the question, Kobe? I don't really understand the question, so rephrase it, man, because I'm trying to figure out which side you're coming from. But I do think you got really good thoughts, and I'm kind of curious to try and figure that out. I don't really understand the Kessler thing, though. Kessler played 32 minutes he's played 32 minutes the last 3 games in a row. I don't think there's anything really to read into. Maybe I'm missing something. All right.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I look at the RG projections, and not only do they have him Wood with like 22 fantasy points in 16 minutes, but like 0.3% ownership. You know what I mean? They literally have him like out of the rotation. But they're like the only one. Everybody else has him like 30 fantasy points.
Yeah, I would tend to err on him being higher. I mean, by the way, Dallas did lose that game for what it's worth. You'd think that hey, if you want to make an adjustment, maybe play Christian Wood a little bit more.
No, you know what I think they're doing, honestly? I really think that they're middling whether he plays, I think.
That's probably
they're just presuming his last game is what he's going to do, like exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
which I guess is possible.
I mean, not only that, but I mean, like, he really doesn't play. I mean, like,
well, don't look at the other number. All those other numbers have to do with Kyrie and what's his name there.
Yeah,
we were playing even before we played him. We played him at 8K. Well, with Luka before, as chalk a couple times.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
I know that Maxi Cleaver's back in our life, but I don't know if it's defense is going to be their problem tonight. I think it's going to be offense. But I'm a little surprised that they didn't play him more in the last game. And I know that they don't like him. I know that
nobody likes him.
Well, especially because you have a defensive-minded coach in what's his name, Jason Kidd. So, yeah.
Well, just for fun, what I'm going to do.
Well, we don't need to speculate on whether or not Buddy Hield starts. By the way, sorry, just to talk to chat. We don't need to speculate. We'll know that part beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Buddy Hield, if he plays, if he doesn't start, then he's not. Then I would treat him almost like he's not going to play. He hasn't. I don't think he's not. Has he not started a game this season? So I would just assume he's not playing if he doesn't start. There is some risk with him. Like they have other guys who can get hot enough to keep him off the court. But I just think it's a good tournament. I mean, I think it's a really good play because everybody's playing the cheap side of that game, and Hield's ownership 5%. Like I'll take that all day long. Like I don't care if you tell me that if they say he's going to play 28 minutes exactly, I'll still take a shot at that low ownership. For sure. Hey, good to see you, Forrest. And yeah, sorry, Sheets. I'm on like a little bit of a tear because I'm a little rattled and behind. Trying to catch up with the make sure that these numbers make sense. Because
I have a question.
Yeah.
So a couple of things I forgot to remind everybody of. But first, let me ask you a question. I know you still like a Dallas value more than Indiana, but what about playing like Jalen Smith and Isaiah Jackson together?
I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I did it in one lineup early on in my builds before all this news came through. If you're doing it, the weird part is if you're doing it, you kind of want to play Wiseman or Duran because that means you're kind of counting on them playing together.
Yeah, but then you can't really run out of spots.
Well, I mean, other than Wood, like who only I seem to like apparently, and Gobert maybe. You don't need the center spot that much.
Well, that's the other thing I wanted to mention about the value of waiting is I still would like some confirmation that Mr. Gobert is starting or is playing, because if not, the whole slate is different as far as I'm concerned.
I think you're really speculating on a situation that needs maybe less speculation. That's just my personal take. It's
not even speculating. He's questionable. Well,
I'll just say my piece of it because he's questionable all the time. I don't treat questionable tags all equal. It's a desperation kind of a game for them. Now it is on the road, which he has when he's missed. He tends to miss games on the road. He hasn't missed a game in a long time. I know it's an ankle thing. They said he played through it in the last game in that overtime game. It would be a very the truth is, I guess it does make a difference, but it only makes a difference if you're playing Wiseman and Jackson. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And Naz Reid still has Ford eligibility.
That is correct.
So I think that's what I would do. Trey Jones out. Trey Jones is not on this slate.
Trey Jones is not on this slate. I hope they don't mean Trey Young.
Kobe, you want to correct that one for us? Clean that up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Trey Young is the only Trey that I know of on this slate, right?
Trey Young is out. Then we got something.
Oh God! Then we just got a mess, and we. No, he's. Wait, what about it? What? Yeah, it's okay. It's just he was thinking Trey Jones was Tyus Jones. That's what happened. It's his brother.
Is Tyus Jones out?
No, Tyus Jones is in, but he was thinking when he must have got an alert for tomorrow's game that Trey Jones will be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Trey Jones ruled out Tuesday. Yeah. To answer Forrest's question about the spend ups, I went through them, but Sheets, what are your thoughts on this? Because I like I like the idea of the late night thing easier than I can actually pull it off. I think Trey Young and Anthony Edwards are a really good duo to run back and forth. And I think that the Phoenix guys are really interesting, more so than Steph Curry is to me. But I like the idea of playing at least one of the Phoenix studs. My favorite is Chris Paul, but I have no problem with Devin Booker or DeAndre Ayton. What are you doing with your spend ups?
I'm kind of inclined to do exactly what I said in the early thing. Is make different builds, stacking the spend ups against each other. Like do one set of lineups, or maybe like 5 lineups, whatever, with Sabonis and Giannis, and also maybe 1 or 2 with Fox and Giannis. Then I'll do some with Trey and Anthony Edwards, like you mentioned, and then I'll do some with the Dallas. I was gonna do the Dallas, right, using Kyrie, but I'm not doing that. So I guess let me just see. And what game did I forget? Oh, and then the Phoenix Golden State, right? Either like you said, Booker, Paul, Ayton, some combination of that with Curry, and maybe even Draymond or something like that. And I'm still going to try to do something with the Boston Houston. I'm gonna play some Tatum with a couple of Houstons, and I'm gonna play Jaylen Brown with a couple of Houstons, and just hope that and I'll let the value just kind of play. I'll end up probably with all the 100% Hardy, right? And I'll probably end up with probably a decent amount of Hayes, probably a decent amount of a couple of the Pacers, and then hope that the stacks kind of work. One guy that you could also add to your tray stuff if you want to play that game is Kyle Anderson for Minnesota. And if you start with him, by the way, and then if Gobert gets ruled out, then you could just shuffle, to Naz Reid at the power forward position, and then spend up a little later or whatever. But that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna make little rules where I do exactly what I just said.
So apparently Şengün is out now.
Well, he wasn't gonna play the fourth quarter anyway. But what that does mean is that among other things, I think Jabari Smith becomes better.
He played 33 minutes in the last game.
Who?
Şengün.
Well, because I didn't play him. I mean,
Oh, gotcha. He plays like 30. Like every other game, it seems like they let him go 30 minutes. Otherwise,
that's correct. When he plays 32 minutes, I'm like, his minutes are secure. I'll play him 24.
If Sheets playing him tonight, keep him on the bench.
Tonight, I'm not.
Not tonight. Yeah, that's right.
Tonight, I'm not.
So it's gonna bring. Are we gonna talk about Usman Garuba?
No.
Well, maybe. I mean,
no. We can talk about more. More Jabari Smith, and then more Tari Eason or something like that.
I think more Jalen Green or Kevin Porter more than
all. I mean, all of it. But I mean, but the whoever was out. I mean, that's like rebounds and big man stuff. So I Tari Eason and even though they're not bigs per se.
I'm still trying to convert my head around Jabari Smith, who was supposed to be a shooting guard, but.
Okay. I guess I get it.
I got you. He's a rebounder. They've made him a true power forward, and because of his length, so I get it. It's fine. It's like Kevin Durant when he was playing point at times when he was a rookie. So everybody does weird stuff as rookies. I think that's gonna make that is an interesting thing with no. Man, I wish Tari Eason was a little bit cheaper. That would be hilarious. What if they did start Boban? I actually, you know what? On this slate, I actually think I still might not do it. They've played Boban some minutes lately, not like a lot, but he played 11.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think Houston keeps the game close either. I don't think we need to debate this one heavily. I just need to figure out if that's going to do anything for me for Houston. And yeah, I think you're right. I think Jabari Smith, Kevin Porter Jr. For me, Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green and Jabari Smith are the beneficiaries. But Garuba might end up looking like the best point per dollar play on the slate in a minute.
We'll see.
Just so you guys know, though,
that's another one you might not know who's starting for a while.
But when we say guys don't play the fourth quarter, you got to really know rotations well. Like for example, Tatum tends to play the full first, full third. Jaylen Brown tends to come out, then come back in and play the start of the other part. Because if it's within 25 points, they're going to be playing. That's just the way this game works. We don't just sit all over our guys unless they're up by. It's got to be 30 plus for them just to decide. Now it could be the bench unit carrying them into the fourth quarter. They leave the bench unit out there. That happens. Right. But it's not going to decide to keep the starters off the court unless it's 30 plus points.
Right.
I don't think anybody. I'm just not that interested in the Celtics myself. But I'm totally on board if anybody wants. Every one of them looks fine to me. I just don't have any. That's it. I like other guys better. Let's see if Houston is. I've got to build my lineups. I've got Kyrie still in 90% of my lineup, so that's probably not a good play. RJ Hampton, still not saying anything about it. I don't know how much it's going to make. Oh, Ken Jones, great question. Great point. I will make sure to get my buddy Matt Bellman, who has become literally the most dominant NBA DFS player in the world. He's won literally $2 million over the last last couple months. Like profited, no joke. He won the 100K thing and the 3180 each 3 times in the same week. Like, it's pretty nuts. He also tied with me when I won my tournament. But I will definitely have Matt Bellman on for baseball. We'll get him on there. That guy's he's super sharp. He mostly does sports betting until recently. Just got crazy with DFS. He always played DFS, but like he's a really, really good dude too. He's like literally like, but you're talking about a guy who's putting out, $50,000, $30,000 a night sometimes. So it's not like he's not like risking it, but man, he can really, when he gets on a streak, he just goes. It's nuts. And he's just been on one of those rushes. No problem. Thanks, Ken, for the recommendation. I talked to Matt. I wrote him I DM'd him yesterday. Did I DM him yesterday or maybe it was before? I don't know. But recently, so I'll make sure to mention it to him. All right. I'm going to be out of here in 5 minutes. So if there's any other questions I can help with, because I've got to build my actual lineups. I think I made it pretty clear what I'm doing. It's going to be the obvious with a little bit of, some unobvious guys within those games. My guys are Buddy Hield and Christian Wood right now to get different with within those games. And then in the other games, I wish I could find a way to play a third guy in the late. I think what you do is maybe I'll do that on FanDuel. Because you can play a Kogi at 4,700 over there, and you can play him on DraftKings too. I think he's a better play on FanDuel. If you play a Kogi with Sabonis or Fox, I prefer Fox a little bit, and Giannis, then you'll have shiftability to maybe you might if Giannis is out, maybe you turn that into a stack with Phoenix and Golden State. So that's where I'm going to do it is on FanDuel.
I'm not playing FanDuel tonight.
What's that?
I'm not playing FanDuel tonight.
I just want to throw.
I have a ridiculous question.
What's that?
So you think Garuba could be like? There's no world that Boban plays, right?
No, we talked about that already. I mentioned that Boban very well may start.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. I don't, but I still.
And is Kaminsky? Is he still on the team?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he's on the team, but he's not available.
Okay.
From what I see, at least he's not available. Let me just double check that.
Well, so this is an interesting issue. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing with the center spot. That is continuing to make these Indiana and Detroit bigs less not much less important, but less mandatory.
It looks like Kaminsky isn't unavailable. Mm-hmm. I don't see them playing. Maybe they would play Kaminsky. I mean, literally, they may not play him a minute, and then he may start. Like, I really don't know how to get a feel for Houston on this one. I don't think Houston has a feel for Houston yet, and we're this far into the season. They're just waiting for you get all these young guards, and what are we going to do? We're going to go get James Harden back, who left our team and abandoned us. I don't understand these guys. I'm curious where the projections end up on that, but I'll take a look at and leave it on if you want me to, but I gotta go and get rid of Kyrie.
No, that's fine. You could shut it down because I gotta deal with this.
Good luck. I do want to answer real quickly MJ's question before I get out of here. It's favorite stud is a one-off is a really tough question because, like I said, I'm trying to get a little bit of the game action, sort of like Sheets mentioned earlier too. Like I want the Giannis, but I don't want to just play. I mean, Giannis is the answer, but I don't want to just play Giannis. I want to play Giannis and Fox, or I want to play, Steph and Chris Paul, or Steph and Devin Booker. So it really is depending on. But those are my main ones that I'm using. Those guys I just named are the main studs that I'm using. I also really like the middling Memphis guys who are getting sort of overlooked now. If that Dallas-Memphis game stays close, that game becomes kind of stackable. Maybe that's what you do is on the other side of that Dallas thing, you play the 3 Dallas guys or 2 or 3 of them, and then you run it back with these guys are all in a great spot too. Don't forget, like they're missing John Morant still just because you haven't seen massive performances. Although you've seen some from Tyus Jones. I'm going to have some Tyus Jones. I'm going to have some Desmond Bane, and I'm going to have some Jaren Jackson Jr. and some Dillon Brooks. Less Dillon Brooks, though, than I thought I was going to. No, I think Omarui. It's just the question is Detroit has not shown consistent willingness unless they're playing against a big team to continue to put the 2 bigs out there. And Omarui has way more minute security. He's also extremely active, by the way. It's not like he's a dud. And And Jalen Duran is just, I mean, is he going to play like 20 minutes? And the truth is, Duran is every bit as good of a play as Wiseman. We keep saying Wiseman, but like they have tons of belief in Duran. And the weird part is Duran's probably a better basketball player right now. They're like the same age too.
Okay, they just gave Garubo a 15-point projection on SaberSim.
I think that I saw that one already, but I could have been wrong. That's all they're giving him, huh?
Well, I mean, how much can you really give him?
If I had to like blindly guess, I would have guessed like 22 if he's starting. But also the SaberSim tends to guess wrong when it comes to starting lineups. They may not have him they may not think he's starting.
Well, let me give you one more projection and see. Garuba with a U, right? Garuba.
Yeah.
Right, Osmo, they have him at 14.
Okay.
So this looks about right.
So maybe that makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And yeah, they do have other guys. Like it could be Boban starting. It could be Kaminsky starting. They don't need to play a big man against Boston, so it could be anybody. Like
right.
Doesn't have like a true Horford, I guess if you want to call him a center, but he's not. He hasn't played center in like 10 years. Anyway, good luck to everybody. I'll be in the premium Discord all night. Just so everybody knows, we are focusing more of the afterlock and the advice and stuff. I'm gonna give it to the people who are paying members. That's got to be the priority. So that's where I do my focus now, is the premium NBA chat, much less than the regular NBA chat.
For those of you that are here, I just wanted to, if you didn't catch this earlier, SaberSim made some changes and some upgrades and updates to a couple of things, and I don't really have time to go over them right now, but they're one of the things I'll give you right away is that there's a new column that they put in called adjusted ownership, where what they do is they take into account how much that ownership means or something like that. And it's a pretty cool little thing. And I just actually confirmed with them that when we make our changes, then that adjusted ownership thing will change as well. And then when you do your builds, it's going to take into account adjusted ownership also. What that does is it removes the need to have, if like you wanted to do a manual like ownership fade, then now you don't need to do that because that's already been kind of done for you. So I'll get into more of that. What we're going to do is probably a video in the next couple of days with Andrew from SaberSim to go over some of the more recent changes. But that's at least something to tease you with, like right now, at least.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, good luck to everybody. I'm going to go build my lineups. Sheet, you good?
Yeah.
Good luck, man.